fearless principles. The 4 fearless principles. How can we coach using these principles as leaders, as friends, as people who are hoping one day to be in a relationship, or as parents? These are 4 basic elements, and we will continue to review them as we go through the process together. As we go through the quadrant, Courage to Fail, I've introduced you to a couple of players. Officer Timothy Bingham, who was one of the first responders, Gabrielle Giffords, who was our congresswoman in District 8 in Tucson, Arizona. This young lady, known as a very approachable and a very loving community leader, had a funny little thing she would say when you'd ask her about that beautiful necklace she has on. She'd say, "Oh, we call that marriage insurance." And when I asked her what that meant, she said, it's something her dad had taught her a long time ago. When you love someone, you give them something. And she said that was called marriage insurance. So you can see the spirit of this woman, incredibly loving, incredibly approachable, and just one of our sweethearts in our community. So at 10:10 a.m. on January the 8th, as I take you back to the story, Gabrielle Giffords is now shot. A 911 call comes through. Timothy Bingham, in his patrol car, receives the dispatcher's call for assistance, and everyone arrives at the scene in an effort to help. And remember, we started the conversation about why would individuals put themselves at risk to help others? What makes them fearless in an effort to save lives, in an effort to save the public, in an effort to be a working warrior in the battlefield or the boardroom? Well, it's an interesting set of, I would say, maybe consequences or sequences, or an interesting set of occurrences. But what happened on that particular day was the culmination of approximately 6 months of training. No one can train for a terrorist attack. No one can train for what happens when individuals are injured or maimed or killed. But in this particular instance, the Pima County Sheriff's Department had actually been training their staff in what was called the first 5 minutes. It was a program instituted by one of their captains on the use of what's called an IFAC kit, an individual first aid kit. The individual first aid kit is your acronym, an individual first aid kit. I want you to think about what's in your first aid kit. What do you use on a daily basis to get up and go to work? Be on the job, be focused, be confident. Well, what was in their first aid kit were metallic treated bandages, and these were not first aid professionals or highly trained EMTs. These were patrol officers who'd been given the IFAC kits and trained in the use of very immediate medical attention. And the whole idea here is you would pass that person on to a professional if they really needed assistance. But think about that. Think about having an individual first aid kit that allows you to save a life long enough for a medical professional to take the position of the life-saving entity. Your job, using the IFAC kit, the individual first aid kit, is to just stop the bleeding long enough to gain an opportunity for sustained life. So I want you to think about this embodiment of courage and your mindfulness, your ability to reclaim your confidence using your individual first aid kit. So what's in your first aid kit? Well, first of all, hopefully there's some technology. Hopefully there's some training. And hopefully there's some teamwork. And above all else, there's some confidence that you've experienced some of this teamwork before, that you've used some of this training before, and that there is technology that you can overlay to help make it more effective and more efficient. In this particular instance, there was also capability. Individuals knew they could rely on each other, that they had had similar training, that they had had similar experiences, And through months of planning and scenario planning, they knew how to use the individual first aid kits. And of course, it didn't hurt that there was global hope and national harmony in a spirit of goodwill towards our Congresswoman, Gabrielle Giffords, and the other 19 who were suffering at the site. So let me ask you, what's in your first aid kit? Now, think about this. We all have a brain, so hopefully your brain, as it's showing, is one of your first aid kit components. But there's something else in your first aid kit. It is not only your conscious, but your subconscious mind. Now, I like to think of the brain as the hardware, the technology, and the subconscious and the mind as the software. If you don't know when your conscious mind is in control and your subconscious mind is sending messages that could in fact counterbalance that control, your subconscious can override your confidence and override your courage based on a very small experience that it's had in the past. So the conscious mind is most important. That technology, that ability to control negative thought, feelings, and actions is very important. But what's most important is that you have the capacity to control those ideas and thoughts.